Joining us today on Pirate Radio Live, former East Carolina head basketball coach Mack McCarthy, our weekly chat about how to fix everything wrong with the world of sports. Coach Mack, how you doing, sir?
I'm good. I'm good. Hope you all are.
Yes, sir. And your text to me this week, Max Media, Max Text, what are we calling this segment? Both involved issues with college athletics and maybe how to fix those issues. And you sent me a tweet from Matt Berry, and also Fran Fraschilla. One talking football, Fran obviously talking basketball, but college athletics as a whole. And they've got good ideas. I feel like everybody's got good ideas. My thing is like, who's gonna implement the ideas, and that's who's gonna implement rules, who's gonna implement guidelines. It is a free for all right now. So, Mac, if we were to come to some kind of common sense deal when it comes to portal and NIL and everything, how would those guardrails even be implemented at this point?
Yeah, the thing that we appear to be trying to do now is to piecemeal it, which I'm not sure will ever arrive at the big picture solutions that we need. I don't know if this commission or committee or whatever, that the president has gotten involved in with Saban and the guy at Texas Tech, Campbell. Everybody has good ideas, like you said, but some of them are common sense things, which make a lot of sense. But then there are others that that have some merit, from a legal perspective too. And I think the problem we have right this minute is that we need something now, and the House settlement will provide some of that, but it's going to be challenged so much, whether it actually has any teeth to be enforced going forward. I'm just not sure. But there are several things that there has to be some, like you said, guardrails, guidelines, rules, whatever you want to call it, concerning NIL that are actually enforceable. I've not seen those. I know it makes sense the way it was originally written, but people challenged that successfully. The transfer portal, I think, had good intentions too. I don't think the comparison between coaches leaving and players leaving is the same, because coaches have contracts and they have buyouts and that kind of thing. And eventually the players probably will too. But I think the overarching thing, I think the biggest picture thing, that's doable, but not without a lot of jumping through hoops, is the negotiation of the television deal as one entity, as all of college sports together, not league by league. And the leagues are not going to want to give up that power, and they're pretty powerful right now. But I think if you were really looking out for what was good for college athletics, that would get done first, and then everything else I think could fall in line.
Yeah, well, like all walks of life, everybody's looking out for themselves and not for what's best for everybody. So there you
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
I guess I still just don't understand like who's in charge. Well, I guess the SEC and Big Ten are in charge of college football, right? Like who is in charge? The TV, is ESPN in charge? Who's the if you go all the way to the top and say this
Yeah.
person or entity is in charge of college football specifically, where does the trail end?
Well, the money comes from the TV networks. So ultimately, given our answer all the time, the answer is money. And what's the question? I think they are ultimately in charge, but I think there are a lot of shareholders, from the conferences themselves, the schools themselves, the NCAA. There are a lot of different stakeholders in the deal, but I do think if ESPN and CBS and Fox and NBC would all get behind a bigger picture solution, I think this thing could be wrapped up in a hurry. But what are the chances of that? Because they each have their own investments that they've made, and profits to be made too. So I'm not sure how you get them on the same page either. But I do think in the end, television is going to have to sign off on whatever happens. And then there's the legal part. There does need to be some teeth in the laws and the antitrust situation and that kind of thing. And that is going to require, whether we like it or not, is going to require some kind of action by Congress.
Mack McCarthy joining us. Always something to talk about with college sports and
I'd love to
changing. Or
just talk about sports, but we
well,
do get to do that, from August till March or so. Anyway.
yeah. Um, so last week we talked about the potential new format for the college football playoff, and just a proposal, nothing set in stone or anything, but I think moving it to 16, and it involved three SEC, three Big Ten, a couple from the ACC, Big 12. The thing that stood out to me as an East Carolina grad and fan and somebody who covers it is one group of five spot. And I was worried they would take that one away, and they still could. But you always said that you thought they would keep that in there, which gave me some positivity. But anyway, this one that was being kicked around did have one group of five spot. I know it sounds kind of lame to say, "Oh, thank you, sir. Please, yeah, thank you for letting me sit at the table," but that's kind of the way it is. Mac, I think you're fine with what, the old BCS or whatever, so you don't probably care about any of this crap. But did you see that one being kicked around with the 16 teams and the Big Ten SEC heavy tournament?
Yeah, I did, and I worry a little bit about guaranteed spots beyond the champion, but yeah, there's going to be some compromises made. One of the big things right now is that's going on is the SEC. They've been trying to get the SEC to add that ninth regular season game. Because that gives the networks great inventory, and the networks have always said we're not going to pay for it, primarily ESPN. But now it seems like they are willing to pay for that ninth game, which changes a whole lot of things, scheduling involved. And will the committee look at strength of schedule going forward more than they are right now? But is that going to be accepted by the SEC in exchange for guaranteed spots? I've seen as many as four for the Big Ten and four for the SEC, and but I have never seen a plan without at least one for the Group of Five, and maybe even access otherwise for somebody who has an exceptional year, that kind of thing. But I've never seen a plan leaving the Group of Five out, which gives us all some hope. But you would really like for it to be wide open, but you got to be careful what you wish for there, because then that could be totally, look what's going to happen look what's happening in baseball, look what happened in basketball with the SEC, look what's going to happen in softball for the SEC. That's a dangerous line right there.
Yeah, no, give me the auto, and at least somebody will be represented there in the college football playoff. Mack McCarthy joining us. Mac, I know what the conversation is going to sound like, but like, is it? What's the ACC and Big 12 going to say to all this? Are they going to accept it like the Group of Five schools and just say, okay, we'll take our spot or two. Y'all can have 8 spots. Talking to the Big Ten and the SEC, like how much pushback is going to be there? I got to imagine a lot of it, even though I don't know how much argument they have.
Yeah, they don't really have a lot of power. Even sticking together, they don't have a lot of power compared to
Man,
the SEC and the Big Ten. It kind of feels like the Animal House scene where you say, "Thank you, sir. May I have another?" It's not going well for those two leagues, and they've got to do it on the field. And there are possibilities, and they have shown the ability to overcome that dollar difference on some occasions. But they're not trending in the right direction. So yeah, I think they do have a problem, and maybe they'd be happy guaranteed 2 spots every single year in the deal, because that it's 2 spots, but it's also guaranteed money, which makes the gap even bigger between the SEC and the Big Ten versus the Big 12 and the ACC.
Mac, I guess the ACC saw the writing on the wall a while back and brought in Florida State in the early 90s and then, Virginia Tech and Miami and wanted to build a football league. And growing up in ACC country, the basketball was always so good and it was looked at certainly as a power conference. Like, when you go through it day to day, sometimes you don't really notice what's going on around you. So, when did the shift really take place with the SEC and the Big Ten to have this stranglehold over every other conference? Like, what could you point back to a year or a time or a moment when it happened?
I think several things happened. Television was part of it, but television reacts to the product on the field for the most part. And to be honest, when the ACC took Florida State, that worked pretty well. But when they added that next wave of Virginia Tech and Miami and the others, Syracuse, Boston College, Pittsburgh, those folks didn't uphold their end of the deal. Virginia Tech came into the league and won 4 of the first 7 conference championships, so they immediately did it, but then they slacked off. They haven't been the same brand, the same power that they were before. Miami has never played for the championship, I don't think.
Well, Mac, they put
So
them in Coastal and Atlantic so we could get that Miami Florida State championship every year,
yeah,
and that happened exactly 0 times.
yeah. What a good move that was in hindsight. But yeah, I think it was a combination of all those things and some of those teams, and also Clemson went through a real down spell too. They don't, we remember Clemson, being recentism kind of leaning. We think of Clemson as the last 10 years where they played for multiple championships and have been up there every single year in the playoffs for the most part. But they went through a real downturn for a long time too. So the league was Virginia Tech and Florida State, and then they had the occasional challenger in between there. Florida State, of course, dominated for a longer time than Virginia Tech did, but then when Virginia Tech went down, Clemson finally did come back, and now Florida State's all over the place. But the product has not been consistently good, and they're having to own that. They picked a bad time to be not good at football.
Mac McCarthy joining us. Man, stick with us through the rest of May and June and July, and then we'll get back to the good stuff. But this is what it
Yeah,
is.
I feel like I know the fans are tired of hearing about it. I'm tired of talking about it, but it's really important. So what do
Yeah.
you do? And of course, it's been a moving target, and you want to say just wake me up when a decision is made, but that's not how it works.
All right, well, let's throw this one out, Mac. When's the next team shifting conferences? When's the next bomb going to drop there? Are there any more bombs to be dropped in conference
I,
realignment?
not for a while. The ACC is pretty solid through 2029. I don't know what the Big 12, their grant of rights. I'm not sure how they did that, but I really don't think we're going to see much for a while. I think we're just going to be see. I think we see some stability for the next 5 or 6 years, and then after that, all bets are off. And of course, all of that could change. See, one nice thing about the proposal, I guess, or at least the talking point of coming together for the television rights. The reason that we have the rights the way they are now is the SEC gobbling up big markets. Same thing with the Big Ten, and to some lesser degree, the Big 12 and the ACC. But if you do not grant of rights, but if you do the negotiation for college sports, all the power teams as a whole, or all of Division One as a whole, all that goes out the window, and you can go back to the regional conferences that made so much sense. I don't think there's anybody that would object to that except the teams that own the power right now.
All right, is anybody talking about this other than you?
Oh yeah,
Okay, good. I
yeah,
haven't heard a lot about the kumbaya, everybody come together. But
yeah. You only listen to one station, so you're not getting it
very true.
much.
Hey, look, if there's any positivity or good news that could come out of this, I want to hear it. So
the
thank you
the
for
the
bringing
uh,
that to
the
my attention.
the gentleman that is joining Saban on the commission committee, whatever it's called, to study college sports, and it's mainly from a broadcasting standpoint. He has been a big proponent of it. Now, of course, he
Interesting.
has Texas Tech ties, because that would benefit them. But several people, one national name, Rick Neuheisel for CBS Sports,
Yeah.
has been espousing this forever, and he brings the receipts. The Major League Baseball, the NFL, the NBA, their revenue share is about 50, 52, 54%. And they can do that because the money is so big. And the NFL is the great example. There's a book out there. I want to say it's called The League, but there was a book written about the 4 or 5 or 6 owners that came together and sacrificed all the money that they would be making because they were in the major markets like New York and Chicago and LA, and they sacrificed all that to come together and make the NFL stronger as a whole by negotiating as an entity. And it's so simple. And then you've got enough money to make it all work, and everybody would be happy. But again, we've got to get to that point, and whether we can or not with the current structure, I just don't know.
Yeah, I just don't believe in people anymore, Mac. So I'm going to say that doesn't happen. I'm going to say if that Texas Tech fella was in the SEC, he all of a sudden wouldn't really care about this idea anymore. But
might not,
that's
but
me being cynical.
Yeah, no, it's easy to be cynical because so much has happened, and all this conspiracy theory. We saw it in the NBA draft last night. With the Mavericks, with the lowest chance of getting the number one pick ever in the history of the draft lottery, and sure enough, they do.
I don't, real quick. So the lottery's rigged, everybody says. Well, why'd they rig it for Dallas? And why didn't everybody yesterday that knew it was rigged say Dallas was going to get the number one pick?
Oh, I think there were people saying that, but
I live in a bubble, Mac. I don't consume anything other than what I want to hear, I think.
I've got to get you following some people out there.
Oh man, Mack McCarthy joining us. Mac, was your wife ever banned from the facilities at ECU when you were coaching? Just curious.
No, she banned herself.
A self
No,
ban.
no, she. But there have been wives heavily involved in the past. The guy that I replaced at UT Chattanooga, his wife Ann Con Arnold, he was Murray Arnold, very very successful, really good coach. He was one of the first guys I ever heard talk about the 5 years of eligibility, and now it may very well come to fruition. But his wife sat on the bench and kept the OER, the offensive efficiency rating. She kept the OER and sat beside him on the bench.
Wow, that's a
Now
good
they were the same
relationship.
age; they weren't 70 some and 20 some.
Yeah, of course, I'm referring to the story that I guess, well, it was refuted. North Carolina had to come out with a statement saying Bill Belichick's young girlfriend was not banned from the facilities. What a world.
I
What a
wonder if
story.
Jody Jones had to write that release. We need to check on Jody.
Yeah, we do. We need to check on our NASCAR standings as well. And
Oh,
I guess a Kyle Larson win is good for you, Jarrett?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's up, Bone?
Nothing much. Kyle Larson won in Kansas this week, but unfortunately, Denny Hamlin and Brad Keselowski did not finish, so kind of negated my win. But Mack got some points this week.
All
Best
right.
average. Still in the
I was
negatives.
set to get a lot of points, Jared.
What happened?
Bad pit stop. Bad pit stop. Cost me the win.
Tell me about it. Denny Hamlin, running second. I had guys second, third, and fourth. And then Brad Keselowski hits the wall. Denny Hamlin can't even get out of pit lane. And thankfully, Kyle Larson is as good as he is. But Clip's still in the lead, 18. I got 14. And Mack is trying to get into the positives. Got -2.
I feel like Jarrett, wasn't your idea the did not finish thing?
Yeah, because of Kyle Larson. I always feel like he either finishes top 5 or does not finish.
Yeah. All right. Well, where are we at this weekend?
North Wilkesboro for the All-Star race. We'll be in North Carolina the next 2 weeks with the All-Star race in North Wilkesboro and then the Coke 600 at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Mac, you ever go to Charlotte for the All-Star race or the 600?
I have been there. I have been there. The seats aren't great for me at Charlotte. They're a little tight for me, but I enjoy Charlotte. North Wilkesboro will be interesting, but we've had a lot of follow the leader there for the All Star race. Are we playing in the All Star race, or are we
Oh
just
yeah,
doing regular season?
I need to read up on the format, but we'll see. Play it by ear. Same
maybe
gap.
we could do like, is there one overall winner?
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Maybe we just
maybe just the winner.
yeah, winner
maybe
gets a
just the winner.
point or
Okay,
something.
yeah,
Or,
1 point to the winner.
We could do that.
is that
Yeah,
fair, Mac?
sure.
All right. Anything else to hit on with Mac McCarthy?
Now, I think things will be, we'll have a little softball and baseball, college wise, to talk about in the next couple of weeks. That'll be interesting. Doesn't look like the Pirates will be part of that for the first time in a long time, which is a
Yeah.
little bit weird. And thought softball might have a little bit of a chance. They had a good season, good freshman pitcher, and that kind of thing. But I find college football, obviously, college baseball and college softball, that I watch a lot of that once they get to the playoffs.
I am one of those people, Mac, that if East Carolina is in it, which they have been, like you said, a lot over the last decade, I will watch the squeeze play. I'll watch every college baseball game, and if East Carolina's not in it, I will find something else to do. So ECU being in the tournament is, determines how much I'm interested in the college baseball regionals.
Makes sense. Makes
Yeah.
sense. But we do have to expand your viewing habits.
I know. I'm realizing when I talk to you that I'm just really stuck in my way. I've created my own utopia for myself. Do you know Mike Wright, the quarterback that East Carolina just landed from Vandy and Mississippi State?
I have known his name,
Okay.
and he had some really good games at Vanderbilt. He had some games where he dominated the game, but he disappeared from view, I guess, at Northwestern or whatever. And I hadn't heard of him, but it wasn't that long ago, a couple of years ago, where he had some really dominant games. Had some big games rushing the football for sure.
Well, Holden knows him. He's excited about him. He is on the Holden Naylor show, so I need to check that out. Learn about the Pirates' newest signal caller.
Yeah, he's talented.
Yeah, good to hear. Good to hear. Mac, enjoyed it, man. Good chat. Appreciate you
Thank
joining
you,
us.
guys.
We'll do it
All
again
right.
next week.
Talk to you.